So I have had the best conversations in people I know, especially those that are just ahead of me a few years in this, that I could reach out to him. I really could cry, but to talk to women and be like, how did you get through this? What are you doing? And I found more connection and help in face-to-face conversations or even a phone call with women just a few years ahead of me.
Hello, I'm Vanessa Quigley, co-founder of Chapbooks, mom of 7, and host of the Mom Force podcast. This is where we share the real stuff, the stories, laughs, and the truth that none of us have it all figured out. Motherhood was never meant to be done alone. We are all in this together. Welcome to the Mom Force. As our children grow from babies and toddlers into adolescents and teens, something shifts. The motherhood community that we've leaned on in those early years starts to fade. It was easy to bond over nap schedules and picky eaters and all of the usual milestones, but parenting teens is something completely different. The struggle is real and more complex, and the stories of what we're going through are more private and no longer ours to share. Our role isn't to fix things anymore, but rather to stand by them and cheer them on. So our big question today, how do we find connection and community in the hard parts of motherhood, especially when our kids' stories aren't ours to tell? That's what we're going to be exploring today with our guest, Ashley Rose Reeves. But first, the holidays are going to go by so fast, like blink and it's over fast. So this is your reminder that between all of the baking and the wrapping and all of the cozy chaos, don't forget to take lots of pictures, because when the glitter settles, you're going to want all of those memories safe and sound in a chapbook. Now, our books are so easy to make, and our holiday design covers are so cute. Honestly, the hardest part of making the book is going to be choosing which cover to use. Our fancy foil covers, they are amazing this year. So snap away this season, take all of the photos, your future self will thank you. And when everything settles down, just get cozy in a blanket and chapbook away. All right, now on to the episode. Hello, Ashley. Welcome to the Mom Force.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you are my first guest here in my new studio.
I am?
Yes,
Oh.
I know. I had my sisters
This is
on.
so fun.
We
I saw
recorded some
that.
episodes.
That's
Those
the
were
best.
unhinged.
Oh my gosh.
But
it's such sister energy. I also have 5 sisters, so like I love watching you guys all together. So it was so fun.
Okay, in my family, all of us, we are completely different. Raised by the same parents.
Yep.
Like the environment was very much the same.
Uh-huh.
But our personalities are so different. Is it track in your family too?
Totally the same. I feel like we have a common vein when we're together, how there's certain things we like act and laugh at that like no one else in the world would, but we're all so different. It's so fun to see. And it's such a testament of like, oh yeah, kids just come here the way they are and we're all just here. And
I feel like the differences are really pronounced as we become parents, mothers, because we mother so differently.
Yes.
Even though our mother,
was one way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it. We do what you will.
Yep.
And, your partner plays a role in that too. But
and your kids' dynamics, it's really fun. But I think we see a lot of that as we're adults for sure.
Yeah, but when I get to with my sisters, we become more similar and we get a little wild and unhinged. But those episodes are so fun. But yes, I have been a fan of yours for a really long time. Actually, you were one of the first people I remember following on Instagram, like as an influencer. Amazon Ashley.
I was Amazon Ashley back in the day. I know it was. Yeah. I did that because I was super tall. So I thought like Amazon warrior princess or something. I don't know what I was thinking. I thought it was a funny joke at the time, but now I actually like work with Amazon a lot. I know. So it's just kind of a funny thing.
Have you thought about taking that?
I actually can't. Back? It's actually the reason why I had to change my name in the first place. When I had Amazon Ashley, I like applied to be an affiliate with Amazon and they denied me because of my name. So I had to change my name because of that. Oh. So I couldn't take it back. They don't want their name in, unless I'm actually an employee for them. They're like, we don't want you representing us.
Well, that is wild. Well, your Amazon links are some of my favorites. I'm constantly clicking on those links and buying that. It's nice to have a friend on the internet who can weed through all of the stuff and say, this is what you really want. Beyond the Amazon links, you're much more than that. You are a voice of body positivity, which I very much appreciate.
Thank you.
And just a general cheerleader of women in general, in motherhood.
Thank you. It's been fun. It's evolved a lot over the years. I think you kind of grow up a lot over the years. I started sharing online like 15 years ago, 17 years ago, if you count Blogspot. And I feel like it's, as I've evolved and grown and learned different things, I like sharing the different things along the way. So it's been really fun.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the fact that things have evolved and changed over the years is a great lead into what we're going to be talking about today,
Yeah.
because I saw you in your stories. This is a while ago,
Yeah.
but breaking your no crying on the internet rule.
Yeah.
You were crying about like being in this new phase of motherhood with teenagers
Yeah.
and how hard it is, but also how lonely it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So it's just so interesting. I think one of the coolest parts about the internet and social media is, at least for me, when I was a young mom, when I got started, it was such a place to like go find answers and connect with other women about similar struggles. And when it's little kids, it's the little struggles. It's like nap time and like nursing or bottle feeding and when to switch to this and like fun little games to play with your kids, like sensory things. And it just really was a spot for me that I could turn to. I'm the oldest in my family. I didn't have any sisters or even friends with kids yet when I started having kids. And so I actually really enjoyed going online because I listened to what other women were doing and experiencing with like postpartum stuff. Like the conversations were really beautiful and it was awesome. And for a long time, it's been a source of information, connection, and just a really cool place to just not feel alone in the struggles of motherhood that I was experiencing with smaller kids. And then I feel like as my kids have gotten older, it's just a different energy because you have kids that are, they're not adults yet, but they have very much their own lives and their own personalities. And so the things that teenagers are struggling with are their problems and their things they're going through. And you are you're their mother and you're trying to help them. And you're also trying to figure out how to navigate it yourself because it's really disorienting to like find your spot in their lives. I'm already going to cry, but, the place that I would always go, it didn't work the same. I couldn't get online and say, okay, I'm having this struggle with my kid. What is working for you guys? Because you want to protect their privacy and what they're going through. And it's about respecting them. And then also for their sake, I didn't want to like air out anything for them. And I didn't feel like I could even, if I did happen to see someone talking about something, I felt like I couldn't really like comment or respond because it still like publicly would acknowledge something if someone were to track it, especially with the way I do things online, like people would notice my name or something like that. But I feel like for any mom, whether you are a public figure or not, you have that role and responsibility to protect your kids. And so it just looks different. So then it became really hard for me because then I get online and I think everyone does the absolute best they can. I don't think anyone's intentionally like, misrepresenting what it's like to parent kids in this stage. But you see like the happy pictures and like the school dance photos and like they scored their running touchdown thing. And you see all these highlights and I know better. That's what was really confusing about it. I know better. I know we share the highlights. I know we do that. But then I even noticed myself being like, oh, is it so easy for everyone else? And it's so hard for my kid and my family. And it can feel really isolating. So then I noticed, I'm like, I don't even want to like, I don't know. It just was a really confusing time. The place I'd always gone that had been such a place for like connection and support, I felt like was doing the opposite for me. And for my kids too. Like my kids don't do a ton of social media either. So it just wasn't the same energy. So then I had to start looking for other places because it's so isolating and you can feel so alone in how to support your kid and how to take care of yourself as a mother. Because that's also really important because it's, in my experience, and I'm sure people with adult children will say, it's only going to get more challenging. Everyone I've talked to
say that, I promise.
It's a few years ahead, but I can see it, like I'm not blind to, you're still going to love your children just as much and have less information, less access, less input. And that also is going to present its challenges as well. And so like I can realistically look ahead and kind of see to a degree what it will look like and see it's getting more challenging. But I do feel like it's helped me get offline for those conversations and connection and talk to people more in real life, which has been really good and helpful.
Well, when I saw your post, I immediately started typing a response because I was like, oh my gosh, actually, I've been there. I get this. I understand. And then I got like, I don't know, 10 words into it. I'm like, I should just call her. It just felt like too big of a conversation to have in a DM.
Yeah.
But then my next thought was like, we need to talk about this on the podcast because this is something that so many people are dealing with and struggling with and feeling based on the DMs that you, just the ones that you shared. I was like, oh my gosh. So the big question today that I want to dive into is, how do we find connection and community in the hard parts of motherhood, especially when our kids' stories aren't ours to tell? You maybe basically just like laid it out there. There's the problem. So like, how do we do it? You say that you are going offline for those conversations.
Yes. So I have had the best conversations in people I know, especially those that are just ahead of me a few years in this, that I could reach out to him. I really could cry, but it's cool. Even studying, which I know this is a little bit of a side tangent, but I promise it makes sense. But even studying like menopause, it's actually awesome how, from like an evolutionary perspective, the most dangerous thing a woman can do is give birth and have a baby. That's like the most dangerous thing she can do to her health. And our bodies like shut down at a certain phase in life where we can't do that anymore. And I read about this really cool thing online where it's in order to protect like the woman's wisdom, because that's what her posterity and her friends and community need, is her wisdom, not her ability to bear children. Men can bear children, just impregnate until the day they die, truly, unfortunately. But for women, it's different. And I think that's cool. So I think about the timing of that, even like the capacity that women have when you're past like the childbearing age, to talk to women and be like, how did you get through this? What are you doing? And I found more connection and help in face-to-face conversations, or even a phone call with women just a few years ahead of me. And I think that's kind of special to like learn more about menopause and how it works. And like, that's almost kind of what our superpower is like the wisdom and the experiences that we have, that we just naturally, how we share and help one another. That's such a beautiful like thing to tap into. And the sad thing about online is I feel like we've kind of lost that art. Like we want to be online. It's easy to access. We can talk to people we don't know, but I think there's such power in, even if it's someone I didn't know really well, getting to know them better through this like shared situation, because you have to be able to talk to someone about it, to just feel less alone, to get ideas, even if the situation isn't the same. There's just that love and support. Like, hey, I know you're going through it. Here's what I did when I was going through my version of this. But yeah, I feel like that in-person connection from someone just a few steps ahead has been awesome.
So it can be challenging for some people to identify that person.
Totally.
But if you take a moment to look around your neighborhood, your congregation, even if you don't have people like in your immediate community, maybe you could identify someone online and reach out through DMs. Like, I feel like the empathy that I felt for you when I saw your stories was like, I mean, I've known you for a long time, but like, we're not close. But in that moment, I just felt like bonded to you. Like, I've got to pick up the phone and call her. She is my sister in this.
Oh, I love that.
Because it's real. Like the struggle is real. The heartache for the kids and for moms is real. I'm also the oldest of my sisters in my family too. And it's been fun to kind of be that older sister and kind of like shepherd my sisters through as they've been parenting in all those different phases. But this, like, we've gone through some really hard stuff in our family that I just like almost shut down, because I'm just like, I don't even know how to talk about it. I actually can't believe it's really happening. Some of the stuff is so hard that I'm processing. It's hard to reach out.
Yes.
Even to my sisters.
Yeah. And that's what I noticed too. Even like the people that I would normally talk to about, they just weren't there yet. And to a degree, like I share, like, it's really, really hard right now, and they can support you. And like, I'm so sorry things are hard, but to be able to get some information, tips, and help from people who have kind of walked similar paths. But it's interesting, when I've gone through some really hard stuff, you've shared enough, even though we don't get to talk as much as I would like. I feel like you have been open enough just about the challenge. Like, it's very hard, and like this phase of life. And I feel like you, like Lisa Clark is another one I think of too. I'm like, just people just a few steps ahead. It's just helpful to be like, okay, that's someone who really is someone that you could reach out to and talk to. And I think there's also unlikely people. Like, I think about people in my neighborhood that I've reached out to that I didn't really even know super well before, but just like, I think the coolest thing about women is we kind of like collect information about people, and just be like, hey, I noticed, or I've heard that this is something you've gone through. Like, how did you handle that? Would you mind, like, and also women love to help. I feel like saying, hey, do you have any phone numbers for people who could handle this situation? Or do you have any kind of recommendations for this struggle? I feel like women are very open and love to help with that. And they also like it. And then I also say, like, even your mother-in-law, which I know it's not everyone's situation, but even people that you're like, oh, I wouldn't ask that person for advice. I think opening, because for a long time, I think part of me was like, oh, even my own mom and mother-in-law, they're too far past this. But like, they really, it was different because it was like 20, 30 years ahead, but there has been some really helpful things that they've shared as well. I'm so sorry, but anyways, there's been things that they've shared as well that have been super life-changing for me too, even though it was very different. It's a different time,
Different challenges,
but like the same heart and the same concern and the same like
devotion. And I just keep thinking about what you shared about menopause and preserving women's wisdom.
Yeah.
How powerful that is. And the matriarchs that just are carrying around all this wisdom that how often do we just go to Reddit or like Instagram to try to find the answers from who knows who.
Yeah. And there's a wealth of information probably right next door, right across the street, or a phone call away. And I do feel like that is such a cool opportunity to dive in back to more personal connection, because like I said, there's lots of good things about social media and being online, but we've also lost the ability to kind of have these conversations and connect. So it's a cool opportunity to dive back into what I think is a healthier way to communicate and problem solve anyways,
Well, so my oldest is 30 and my youngest is 17. And I feel like you referenced the fact that women like to help each other, and like when you survive something really hard, you're motivated to like share the wisdom, right? And I think that there are, at least I experienced phases in motherhood where I always wanted to put my best foot forward. Like I had 7 little kids. My oldest was 15. Every time we went out in public, I wanted everyone's hairbrush, shoes on, like everyone looking great, because I wanted to represent big families in a good light. I didn't want anyone to look at me and be like, what is she doing? I know. So I just had this mindset of just like always putting our best face forward. But sometimes that results in not being honest about like how hard you're trying. It's kind of like when company comes over, shoving everything under the bed or in a closet because you don't want anyone to see that you're actually living in this house. Right? But I think a big part of this conversation is when you get to the other side, or even when you're in the midst of something hard, like having the courage to like open up and be honest about what you're going through. One of my sons went through a terrible divorce, and it was not at all what we had expected, obviously. And I remember one of the first people outside of our family that I told, and she was like, oh, I won't tell anyone. I promise your secret's safe with me. And I was like, oh, this isn't a secret.
No.
This is actually happening to our family. Like, I was surprised that was the reaction. And I wondered, like, what experience did she have that led to that?
To her, like, this is such
like,
a shameful thing. We got to hide this. Right.
And I think the generation before us, there was a lot more of like, we're not going to speak of this, hard things happen. And it's just, I don't know why. I feel like we're better as a society in like processing and talking about hard things and learning from hard things.
Yeah. It breaks my heart. Like when I talk to my mom, and I saw, like, from the child's perspective, what my mom was going through with one of our siblings. And I have this whole new awakening as a mother myself. And it makes me really sad that I know she didn't talk to anyone. I know she's told me she didn't feel like it was something that she could talk to anyone about, because I do think as moms also for a long time, it felt like if our kids mess up, it was a failure on our part, or that, you're trying to protect your kid or something like that. And so I feel like it is really sad when I think about like what my mom went through with hardly any support. And I do think that we have gotten better in being more open and honest about the stuff that's going on, so we can support and just normalize it, because I don't think anyone is walking through the park with teenagers. I don't know.
No.
Like if you talk to anyone, it all looks different, and some situations are more intense than others, but I think everyone it's a really hard thing. Even if you have a kid that doesn't have really intense struggles, which I think most of them do, it's just a normal part of development. But I think the adjustment to mothering these kids is also different, because you're both going through such an identity shift where your job, instead of, carrying, is to launch, and you want them to be independent. And you want them to not rely on you. Like, best case scenario is that they can go take care of themselves and don't need you very much. And that's like really sad when you've put everything in to this, and you having to adjust what it looks like for you and for them. Like, it's just a really challenging time.
Yeah. And I think I went into parenting thinking, this is my big project, right? I'm the oldest of 12. I've seen my master mother, I've learned from her, and I'm smart and I can make things happen, and I'm just going to churn out these little mini-me's. Yeah. And here's the program. We're going to do the program. We're going to follow the program, and they're just going to do all of the things. Yeah, and
it's going to look like this.
And when that starts not happening, it can be like a challenge to me. Like it becomes personal. I think there's like pride, like that gets wrapped up in it, and learning to just accept and celebrate each unique individual that you get to know.
Yeah.
It's like this ongoing challenge that I am still working through.
It is.
Of like respect. These kids they're not my kids. I have to I actually even tell myself that, because that just makes the stakes too high.
Yeah.
I have to be like, no, these are people that I care deeply about, and I want to succeed.
Yeah.
And I'm learning about them. They're learning about themselves, and I'm learning about them.
Yeah.
Hey, I wanted to validate what you said about like every teenager is going through something hard, because this is fact. In fact, Lisa D'Amour, she is the teen contributor for New York Times. She's like the expert child psychologist. Yeah. Her books are all amazing. This is what she says: mental health is not about feeling good. Instead, it's about having the right feelings at the right time and being able to manage those feelings effectively. And having hard things happen and hard feelings is a given. Yes. The CDC did a report, and they studied thousands and thousands of teens, and at least half of them reported persistent feelings of sadness or hopelessness in the past year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so hard things are happening, and it's going to be hard to process as parents. It's hard to talk to our kids about it. Yep. It feels impossible to share with the community. Yeah. And I think acknowledging that it's happening to all of us. If you have a teenager, you're going through something hard. Yeah. And the hard is part of regular development. Yep. Yeah. And it's like, it is part of the development. Yeah. Have you ever heard of anti-fragility?
No, but I want to learn more.
So when I think of something fragile, I think of like a teacup, right? Yeah. And it falls off the shelf and it's going to instantly shatter, right? And so we're trying to build the opposite. We want children to be anti-fragile, which means they're going to take the fall. They're going to get the bumps and bruises, but instead of breaking, they actually get stronger. Yeah. And one of the analogies is like lifting weights, right? Like part of building muscle is you break it down and then it gets stronger and your capacity grows. So another way to refer to this is resilience. And that is like a buzzword that I love learning about too. But if we look at the hard things that our kids are going through as something that is strengthening them, instead of challenges to our ability as our mother or our ability to protect or provide an easy, happy, joyful life, then that allows us to like take our personal feelings, or put our personal feelings aside and just watch
what they're going to learn from this. Yeah. Because I feel like it feels like your role shifts so much, because when they're younger, you want to like fix all the problems. But then even in my own life, I can look back and see like all the hardest things I ever went through were for my good, and I learned from it. And they were able to build me up to a place where I could handle even bigger problems that came my way. And so of course I would want that for my kids, for them to build the resilience and the ability to get through things and not fix every single problem for them. It's like heartbreaking to watch.
I know.
But yeah, I do think it's for their good. But I love that you said that, because it's good. I mean, I tell my kids too all the time too, like they love video games like teenage boys do, and I'm like, how boring would it be to like get into the game, jump over the thing and save the princess? Like it's so boring.
It's the challenge that
you need the challenge. You need to get in there and like have things that are really hard that you go through, and the lessons that are learned, and like the people you meet along the way when you're going through this hard stuff. Like these are all going to be formative experiences for you. But yeah, it is really awful to just sit by and watch. I mean, obviously we're not watching, but you know what I mean? Like there's only so much like that you can do. And I think that was an adjustment with my oldest that I didn't really notice probably until he started middle school. You could solve so many of their problems. If there was an issue at school, you'd know their mom, hey, it seems like the kids are having an issue. Like, let's get them talk it out. I noticed once they got into middle school, the more involved I got, the worse it got. Like they had to learn how to manage like bullies and confrontation and conflict with friends and even with people they didn't know on their own. I wasn't doing any favors by calling the principal and being like, so-and-so said this or did this to my kid. It made it worse for them in the long run. And so that's kind of, I've kind of told my kids, like, by the time about 7th grade hits, like, you need to be able to stand on your own 2 feet, and I'll be here and we can talk about it at home and I can give you ideas at home, but you need to be able to go out and like do your best to take care of yourself and to kind of manage this stuff on your own. And they don't, I mean, it's not like they're like, oh, mom, please solve this. They don't want me involved anyways. So,
Yeah.
but that's kind of the age, at least with my kids, I've noticed that I really have to like step back and let them step forward. At least 3 out of the 4 of them were there right now. And it's just a different role that we play, you know?
Yeah. It's less of the fix-it role and more
Yes.
of the cheerleader, like
Yes.
standing by as support.
Yeah.
Well, there is in research of resilience and child development, there is consistent research that shows that a strong supportive relationship with at least one caring adult acts like a shock absorber to the inevitable hard things that come.
Yeah.
So, it's no longer appropriate to swoop in and fix the things or call the principal or whatever.
Yeah.
But being a caring, supporting adult, what does that look like for you as a mom to teens?
So I really like food for teenagers specifically, because I feel like if I have good food, good treats, good snacks, they sit down and they talk.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, at least in our house, that works. So even like a drive to go get a swig, or even, like Taco Bell ordering one night, like, hey, let's just grab this. So I'm not spending an hour cooking dinner in the kitchen. We can actually just like grab the food and sit down and like eat and chat. But I feel like for me, it's looked like curiosity more than like, just like, oh, what's going on? Yeah. What made you feel that way about that, instead of trying to problem solve? I have to remind myself constantly to be curious and not controlling. And
be curious, not furious.
Oh, yes, that's a good one too.
Both of those are so good.
Oh, I love that. Just like asking questions like, oh, okay. And just like not trying to react, but just getting them comfortable. And another thing also, asking them things that have nothing to do with the big stuff. Mm-hmm. So I find myself with my kids asking like, oh, what about that Dragon Ball Z character do you like? Like, I don't even know, but just having them feel like they can talk about, I have one son that really loves like the Lions on the NFL. I'm like, what position does that guy play? What does that even mean? Like, just talking to them about the insignificant things, I feel like kind of just sets the stage for opening up conversations around the things that are more significant. And I'm not perfect at it. All the time I jump into problem solving, and I have to, it's so hard for my personality type to just be like, oh, that sounds terrible. We're not going to, okay. But I do think that it's practice over perfection, just trying. Even this morning, I had a really good conversation with my son about nothing of significance, but it was just about I asked him, of all the shows and TV and movie that he likes, what ones does he want to show his kids? I'm like, I have all these things.
That is a dopamine question.
Yeah. Is it?
So good. Yes,
okay.
Yes.
I wouldn't even know, but just something to like get him talking, like, okay, you love all these TVs and movie shows. Which ones, when you're a dad, what one do you want to show your kids? And he just talked forever. And it was so fun. And it was interesting to hear the things that he wants to carry on to like his own kids eventually. I mean, he's 12, but it was a really good conversation, and just things like that. Having like lighthearted conversations are just as, if not more important, I think, than like the heavy hitting conversations. Yeah. Just so you're building that like trust and connection. Modeling. Yeah.
Well, there's more research that says, there is a lot of benefit that comes from having a caring adult that they know cares about them, but also connection to family.
Yeah.
It makes a huge difference in helping weather the storms of life and build that resilience and the anti-fragility.
Yeah.
So in regards to building connection in your family, I'd love to hear some of the things that you do.
We are really lucky to have a pretty connected family. I have a lot of siblings, and my husband does too, that we're all close. I know that's not the situation for everyone, but we do like to plan like family dinners or cousin hangouts or little weekend trips where the kids are also, around other trusted adults. I also feel like in our church congregation, that's been really helpful to have other adults that are invested in the kids' happiness and that have fun things going for them. Because there's also this other, that I'm for sure talking about a TikTok, but I swear it was a doctor who said this. But
a doctor on TikTok.
A doctor on TikTok. But really, the kids, from an evolutionary standpoint, they are modeled. The way their brain has to work is they kind of have to believe their parents are dumber than they are for them to go out into the world and be successful. So like the people that you surround them with are even more influential than you are as a parent, from like 15 to 22, 23, when their brains are fully developed. In order for them to go out into the world and believe they could make it, they have to believe that their parent actually isn't the one that can take care of them.
Interesting. And that tracks in my experience.
Yeah.
It feels like anything my husband and I tell our kids, it's like, yeah, whatever. But
so-and-so said it.
yeah. And then it's like, okay.
Yeah. And so then it becomes your job to like build a cool community, whether that's family or your neighborhood or your church, just like gathering trusted adults. And I always tell, because like I said, I'm the oldest, my husband's the oldest in his family too. I'll like put in a call sometime and be like, you guys, do you want to like, can we like get together and do something? Can you help this kid with this? Like one of my brother-in-laws spent like 2 hours helping my son shoot basketballs. My husband's great and could do the same thing, but it's just different coming from another, like an uncle who's like invested in your kid, you know? And I always say like, I'll return the favor. When you guys have teenagers, I'll come pick them up and I'll go take them to the mall or I'll go do whatever, like just kind of building that community. Cause kids, the more people that love your kids, the better. I've also, I've had a really good experience with like a nanny that we hired that was more like a driver help. Cause like we're all just trying to get the kids to 20 different places. And she was great and a total trusted adult that my kids felt really comfortable talking to. So just doing your best, like if your energy becomes focused on, you know, building out a good community, that your kids are going to be around people who just like model what it looks like to be like an adult that's, you know, trying their best. I think is really helpful too. So, but yeah, I feel like it's a lot of work also, because that's planning the things, inviting people over to do things, initiating things.
But what if we channel more of our energy doing that and less of the energy trying to solve all of our kids' problems or stew over like it all, right?
Yes.
You are also so gracious to let me and some of our chapbooks team come into your home and film you talking about your chapbooks. I mean, that is why I got into this business, is to create opportunities to foster connection and conversations to strengthen families. Would you tell us just a little bit about the role that chapbooks plays in your...
It really is so fun. And actually, I've noticed a lot of parenting things. I follow a couple of people who are like toddler parenting people, and they work for teens. And I've actually noticed when I bring little toddler books out, when I have pictures of my kids when they were little sitting on the table, my kids also get like really nostalgic. Or even when they'll say things like, you guys are the worst or whatever, and they see pictures like, oh, it's actually not the worst. Here we have like, there's a lot of good things going on in our home. And like, but you know what I mean? Like just for them to have that nostalgia and the remembering of all these things. You know, I came, I'm sure you did too, from a family where there's probably like 30 pictures of my entire childhood. And so now we live in a time where we have so much of it, but it lives on our phones. And so to have like a representation, like on our coffee tables up in bookshelves for the kids to go through, I think has actually been super special and super fun.
Yeah. And I think that nostalgia is actually helpful for me as a mom too, because it's normal to get so frustrated with these kids that you wonder, do I even like them? Do I, right? Yes. But a picture of them as a young child comes up, like, and you're like, okay, your heart is softened, and you're like, okay, I remember. I remember that I'm in this for the long haul.
I know. Yeah, no, I really do love it. And I think it's actually, especially with one of my kids, it is a miracle worker to show him baby pictures of himself. He just loves it. Yeah. And I just love that for him too, because I think that they also kind of it's such a hard phase for them too. Like, I think they want to grow up, but they actually don't want to like have all this crazy stuff they're going through. So for them to also just be like, oh, like, look at this like simple, sweet time in my life, to be able to have that, I think is really special.
Yeah. Well, I want to go back to, I mean, we've covered thoroughly that kids are having a hard time, right? And it's a normal part of development. Yeah. And our job is not to swoop in and fix it, but to cheer them on and help them know that they have trusted adults in their life who believe in them. Yeah. Right? But still, we as mothers, we need support and we need community. And one last thing that I wanted to share when I was doing my research, Sunia Luthar from Yale, she's a developmental psychologist at Yale. She did research that shows that when mothers themselves feel emotionally supported and seen, not judged or compared, but actually supported, their own resilience goes up, and that stability cascades to kids. So it's like this flow for mom feeling connected, mom feeling resilient, then the kids have the safety net, the kids are able to grow from stress, and that is what leads to generational anti-fragility.
I love that.
Isn't that cool?
That's so cool.
So back to our original question, how do we find that support and that connection? We've got there's an online community for the younger generation. There's actually, our friend Brooke Romney.
Yes, I joined it.
The 12 pillars.
Yes,
The parents tell us about it.
Well, I mean, so I just barely started it, but she's doing a private group, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be like on public Instagram, where she's teaching the 12 pillars of parenting. And I think it's one pillar per month. And you just get to learn about a concept for connection. And she's one of the people also that was a few steps ahead of me, that I used to call her and be like, my kid is doing this. And she'd be like, okay, that's totally normal. And and you can, she's such a wonderful teacher, and she's such a good community builder. So I'm not saying, there's no place online that's safe. It's just not. I feel like what she's building is really, really cool to help support parents in this. And it's a little bit more of a safe space.
The fact that it's a private group.
It's a private group, and you don't even have to publicly, my name isn't anywhere. So if you just want to get in and just listen and read, that is really helpful. And then if you're in a place where you feel like, I want to talk about this, it's a safe private community as well.
Yeah.
So,
and she's charging $5 a month. I think it is a way to keep the trolls out.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And so to foster that safe, that safe space.
She does such a good job. So I feel like I also love books, because I feel like books, I can absorb a lot of information, and I don't have to actively participate. Sometimes I just want to learn. And I feel like, there's been a lot of, I could pull up my Audible on my phone. I have 20 I've read this year that I'm like, okay, this is helpful.
Have you listened to any of Lisa D'Amore's books?
Which ones does she write?
Lisa D'Amore. The titles, I'm going to space them.
Yeah.
But they are
I probably have.
so good. We actually had her on the podcast during the pandemic, when all the kids were home and floundering. There was a term called the quaranteenager that she was talking about.
Okay.
She has great books, but yeah.
Under Pressure?
Yes, that one is so good. Under Pressure.
Okay. I know Big Feelings, Little People.
Yes.
Is that what it's called? That's what I'm actually reading right now. But I really go back to a lot of the stuff works for teenagers too. A lot of the toddler stuff. There's this girl, Tess Romero. Do you follow her? This has been such a cool tool for parenting teenagers, and she has young children. But the two things that she does that have been super helpful is she'll film herself. She doesn't film her kids, but she films herself going to the grocery store with her kids. And she's like, watch me do a whole grocery store trip with 4 kids, and I never say no. And she'll just be like, her kids are grabbing something. We're going to get treats next time we come to the store. Or I need you to put your feet on the cart. Or I need you to hold my hand. Not don't walk away, don't do this, not saying no all the time. And I have really been able to implement that with my teens when I'm just, okay, would you like to do homework right now or after dinner? Asking questions, just trying. A lot of it actually works with teenagers. I think sometimes we think it has to be so complicated, but a lot of just the simple things even she teaches has worked. That also is really helpful for brain development, just learning about how kids emotionally escalate at all.
And I think it's so helpful, as we are struggling with our kids and trying to help them to know that these brains are not fully formed.
You're not
and
dealing with the total
part
rational brain.
Right.
Yes. The other thing that Tess did that I loved is she will tell her kids when they're having a meltdown, I need your voice to match my voice. That actually worked really well with my teenagers. If they're escalating, I'll just be like, okay, I need your voice to match my voice so we can talk about this. That one sentence de-escalates so well, even for teenagers. It's okay. And because then you're kind of setting this is the emotional level we're going to get to.
Space,
yes,
right?
Yes. I'm not going to escalate with you. You can be upset, but it's interesting. Some of this stuff I feel can still be applied for teenagers too. And you have different kinds of conversations, but just simple things and just mindfulness around they really are going through so much. I feel really bad for the teens. We went through things, but it's completely different what they're dealing with. And I also think the question, I saw this on Matthew McConaughey. He was on a show, and he just said a question that he asked his teens is, what's it like to be a teen right now? And just let them explain and tell themselves, tell you what's going on. They're going through a lot, and they have a lot more comparison and all the stuff with the phones. There's just a lot more paranoia that they have to deal with, because they have such an awareness of everyone around them being aware of that. There's just a lot more going on. So just trying to meet them where they're at and understand where they're coming from, I think has been helpful.
And I think for my husband and I, whenever we try to put ourselves in our kids' shoes, we're operating from what it was for us as teenagers, and why are they doing this? I would have never done that. And we were just talking last night, nothing about the way Declan, my youngest, is growing up has to do with the way we were growing up. And the example that I used is once I had told a little white lie to my parents that I was sleeping at a friend's house, and instead I went to the beach to stay with another friend. Yeah. And somehow my dad found out, and the whole drive home, it was an hour drive, I had to think about my choices, and I had to think about what, how disappointed he was and how mad he was. I had no escape from that feeling that I had to I think really changed the way I was going to make the next choice, right? Yeah. But like kids today, the minute they feel uncomfortable, they can escape that by getting in their phone. Yep. Mm-hmm. Right? Like that's, I do it too. Like if I feel uncomfortable, I don't even realize I'm doing it. All of a sudden I'm opening my phone. Like, what am I doing? Oh, okay. I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling whatever.
Yes, totally.
So like that, like played out like on a daily process, daily basis is going to dramatically change the experience. So totally. So many good things. Oh, so many good things. Okay. So with what we've learned and what we've discussed, what I want to challenge our listeners is to explore some of those communities we talked about. Look up Brooke Romney's 12 Pillars of Parenting. Tess Romero, the books, like we'll drop a lot of links in the show notes.
A lot of book links. I have lots of Audible links. It's like free. I tell my husband, I'm like, it's free college. Like you could just literally learn about anything. And right now, all I want to learn about is parenting. I'm like, I want to be like a book girl who reads all these fun, exciting books. But I'm like, oh, just help.
Okay. So then as you're learning, the next step is to share. Share what you're learning. And then maybe let's start small. Let's pick one person who is either going through a similar stage of life or steps ahead. Yeah. And connect with them and maybe start opening up. And you don't have to do like a big trauma dump on them. Yeah. But like you gotta make sure that it's a safe space. Yeah. But find somebody that you feel like you can connect with and can be a support for you, because we can't do this alone.
No, we really truly can't. And we never were meant to. Like that's not effective for anyone. Yeah.
Yeah. And all of you older moms out there, guard that wisdom, respect that wisdom, and bestow it upon all of those in need. I just think that is such a beautiful, like silver lining to this whole menopause thing. That is really kind of sucks.
I know. Well, when I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh, that's actually such a more empowering message than like, oh, you're old, you can't have kids anymore, you serve nothing to society. I'm like, no, you actually, it's so cool that our bodies literally shut down to preserve our wisdom, to like help bring entire generations in like health and safety. It's pretty cool.
So good. Yeah. Well, Ashley, thank you so much for being
here.
Thank you
for having me.
Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Where can people find you?
I'm just online, just Ashley Rose Reeves out everywhere, mostly Instagram, some TikTok, but I don't think, if you don't have TikTok, it's not worth getting one. But mostly Instagram. Yeah. So
and sign up for your newsletter, because I actually do love your newsletters. I don't read a lot of them, but you always have good stuff in there.
You're so sweet. Thank you.
Always a nice, like, encouraging note of like, we've got
I really enjoy those. They're really fun to do. So.
All right. Well, thanks for being part of our Mom Force.
Thank you.
Okay, I loved that episode with Ashley so much. These heart-to-heart conversations are so important to be having. So take my challenge. Find somebody in your circle or outside of your circle and bring them in, someone that you can open up to, find camaraderie with, find, a sister who's going through this with you. And if you can't, you always have me. I've got a lot of parenting under my belt. I've seen a lot of things. I am here for you if you ever need someone. So find me over on Instagram at Vanessa Quigley. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time.